Welcome everyone to this week's astrological lunar magic series by I.MAGI.NATION. This week we will be looking at March 13th, 2021, the new moon in Pisces, which transitions to Aries. And I think this is an important point to bring up, and you will find out why in a moment. But first, I'm going to take some time to acknowledge the space in which I am recording this video, and I'll see you back with my wheel. In the spirit of respect, reciprocity, and truth, we honor and acknowledge that together we live, work, and play on this land of the people of traditional Treaty 7 territory. The Blackfoot Confederacy, Siksika, Kenai, Piikani. The Tsuut'ina Nations, I.MAGI.NATION, and Region 3 Métis Nation of Alberta. So welcome everyone. We're going to be looking today at our new moon in Pisces, which is transitioning into Aries. So let's head over to our wheel. Here you can see that we have a cluster of Venus, Neptune, Sun, and Moon in Pisces. All of the lines in the chart are from the moon particularly itself, and we're going to address the major aspects, really, that the Ptolemaic aspects going on here. So we actually don't have too much happening, but it is going to be important messages nonetheless. So what I'd like to do is to start off with, that's the wrong image, boop, and my camera's not working. There will always be technical issues. 1 second. You want to know what's funny? It actually wasn't a technical issue. It's the fact that my table is black this time around and not the other table that I'm used to using. So I want to start off talking about just what's happening with the moon in this great conjunction, stellium-esque energy here. Can we put that all in there? Maybe I'll slide this over that way. How's that? So we have a cluster of, sorry, my TV screen just went entirely black, so I'm going to start that over. We have a cluster of planetary bodies. We have Venus, Neptune, Sun, and Moon. And it's all residing within Pisces right now. So depending on yourselves, you may have this cluster sitting in a different house. I encourage you to go look at what house these transits are sitting in so that you can find out a little bit more about how it's impacting you. But let's look at it from this tarot narrative, right? We have the Empress card, we have the Fool, we have the Sun, and the High Priestess. In and of itself, these are four beings. One that is the goddess, really, the ultimate queen of her realm, the one who can bring forth abundance, nurturing, the one who is in charge of birthing, nurturing, and harvesting. So she's just not, only about being super sensitive and caring. She also deals with like the harvest and the reaping and the sowing and the death aspects as well. So the Empress is all encompassing in her energy. She's a great manifester. She can bring anything to fruition. You could consider her almost like Earth energy as a planet, that it can bring forth anything into existence. We have the Fool, and the Fool is our beginning of new journeys, and being able to undertake that journey with blind trust and faith, because we don't know what happens along the pathway. You just got to start taking the steps, right? So when it comes to the Fool, you need to be able to think of these notions of new pathways, new journeys, new endeavors. Let's go back to our cards. Then we have the Sun, the literal body sun itself as a planet, but also this joy, vitality, energy. The sun gives life to all things. Everything flourishes and is in joy underneath the rays of the sun. So this is our outward expressions, what we put out there energetically of ourselves. This is our energy, vitality. This is all about radiating something outwards, right? And then we have our, ooh, bad transition, our high priestess, which is the moon, which we should hopefully be familiar with now. And this is all about our intuition, our internal landscapes, the reflections, the receptions, the magnetism, our internal knowledge. So we have these four key players that are basically combining their energies together during this moon phase in Pisces. And Pisces is represented by the moon card. And the moon card is very much about duality and illusions and fantasies. It's, you can see that the moon up here includes the rays of the sun, because the moon does not emit light itself, it only reflects light of the sun, which is why you'll see this imagery of the moon including the sunbeams around it. We have the wild dog and the tamed dog, the duality of aspects in ourselves, nature versus society, and also the crayfish here, which comes up at the light of the moon, comes from the depths, brings up wisdom, etc. And there is a pathway in the middle there that goes between two towers. So our moon card here is the energy that all of these players are residing in. So the Empress is trying to give us the opportunity to think about what our values are, our aesthetics, our desire of how we want to be seen, our desire of how we want to portray ourselves, to be our authentic individuals. And so asking about what are the illusions that we have that we need to let go of. Same with the Fool. We have the Fool here that is what are the illusions that I have from the past that I can help myself on a new journey? How can I radiate and illuminate things that are illusions? What do I intuitively know are falsehoods, etc.? So all of this energy is beneficial space. What that means is that with all of these players, it's about taking time for us to let go of illusions that no longer serve us, but it also gives us space to dream. And this is the big message of what this entire moon discussion is going to be about, because it's about our dreams in Pisces, and transitioning into Aries is the perfect time for planting new intentions of bringing those dreams to reality. It is the time to plant seeds like a garden so that it can germinate in Aries and through the signs so that it can come to flourish as a flower, plant, vegetable, whatever metaphor you want to use there. We really need to be aware that overall Venus is our personal values, morals, aesthetics, how we want to be seen, how we want to portray ourselves. And in tarot, the Fool is Uranus, but I do want to bring up that Uranus astrologically is one of the invisible planets, and by that it means that without the advent of technology, we weren't able to see it with the naked eye, and it's considered a generational planet, which means it affects a collective of us. So it's like the collective is going on a new journey. It's not just us, it is us as a collective as well, because this is a slow-moving planet. It affects whole generations of time. It doesn't transition as much as, for example, the moon does, which is, approximately every 2.5 days. So we have our Fool, meaning that on one hand we can personally, because Venus is a personal planet, look at all our morals, values, aesthetics, etc. But I think it's important, aside from us going on our own journeys, is to think about the collective journey, and therefore what values, aesthetics, etc. can we share that we all feel good about, vitalized by, that we're rejuvenated, that we're like ready to go, yes, let's put that out there, and that we intuitively know is probably the best thing for all, releasing falsehoods that we've been fed in the past. So that's a lot of information. This brings us to really having to take a moment to reflect on our personal dreams about what we want to bring to manifest. And it can be as simple as, something very personal for yourself, like you want to manifest a new job, just as an example, or it could be something as the larger collective, like how does my job help affect the world in the larger collective as well. Food for thought. We all have different dreams, and I encourage all of us to embrace our uniqueness in our dreams. It's about all of us being able to fit into this space rather than it having to conform to one space. So we're going to go back and look at our wheel and check out the first bout of energy aspect that we're going to talk about, which is the square to the nodes. And if you've been watching this, you know the nodes are like the little blue horseshoe headphones shape. They've been in Gemini, Sagittarius for the last several videos. So this may be redundant for some of you, but hopefully it's a valuable discussion. So if we go back to our glyphs and I change up my sign, this is what we're dealing with. This collective of energy, in tension with, it would be this way, North Node in Gemini, South Node Temperance. Now, again, just for visual aesthetics, we're going to turn this upside down because although squares are not wholly negative, they are our challenges, as you've heard me say, they are our gyms. But at the same time, I think looking at the cards in this practice in reverse helps give us more interesting insight as to how the tarot can enlighten us a bit with this. So let's talk about this. We talked about all the good stuff that comes with this cluster. Now let's explore some of its challenges. The Empress reversed can be a bit more self-centered, can be more involved in just myself rather than the collective. The Fool reversed can talk about the fact that we may be afraid of going on the new journey, or we may think there's no point in starting a new journey, that we think there's too much risk, for example, that we don't want to undertake it, or we are just afraid of going forward, or we don't know how to move forward. There's so many ways that that can play out. With the Sun reversed, we may be not feeling our best selves. We may feel like we lack the energy and drive to kind of grow something to fruition, and we may not be inherently trusting our own inner calling that's asking us to do this. And the reasons may be because we haven't let go of the illusions of the past that spin in our mind about all of these things, like, oh, well, how can I do that? And how can we all collectively start a new journey? There's going to be so many things, blah, 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 blah. This is that kind of voice. This is the voice inside of our heads that says, I'm afraid. I don't know how. I feel like I have no power or control in able to influence this, for example. But it's not necessarily true. We have our challenge and our benefits, or our ways to grow into our, outside of our comfort zone, I should say, and the places that we are very likely to have ease or to continue to fall back into. So Gemini is the Lovers reversed, which is about choices, is about communication between others. And so in this instance, it's very much, again, bringing up the challenge of making choices for ourselves, but making choices for the collective, about how we all want to see this new world go forward, how we all want a new paradigm shift, how can we listen to one another so that we can have all of the inputs to be able to create something new. It's very easy for us to be out of balance, to be weighted to one side, to indulge too much in the ideologies of just one instead of many. Temperance reverse can talk about indulgences and addictions and extreme behaviors in that way, but it can also talk about, you know, being out of balance as a whole, because as I mentioned, Neptune is talking about collective. So all of this information can be applied to us as individuals, but now we're also having to think, not that it's only now, but I bring awareness over the fact that the collective is involved in this discussion as well, if that makes sense. So it's very easy for us to be paralyzed in fear and not know what decisions to be making. But that is exactly where we need to be growing. We need to start using the beneficial energy of this collection, addressing the fears that we kind of went through as an example, and start making sound decisions, big life decisions for ourselves and for the whole, so that we can bring things into balance, so that the swaying of the pendulum can ease, or can be more of a gentle rocking instead of like a intensive seesawing, if that makes sense. So really, when it comes to this kind of energy, we have, you know, the opportunity during this new moon to be able to reflect upon ourselves and how we fit into the collective, how we want to communicate with others, and how we want to receive communication. It's really about listening to multiple inputs to see how it all can fit together. Now, it's seems like an overwhelming task, and I am not asking you to solve the world's problems. It's really about you and embracing the collective. How does starting a new life look like for you, and how can that include other people's that is mutually beneficial? That's temperance. So another way to look at temperance is the sign of Libra, even though those are completely separate things. But I like to use this example of the scales, and I am a unique individual, you're a unique individual, and we maintain our uniqueness, but we are mutually receptive and harmonious to one another. And when we have issues, we can discuss them and find common ground in negotiation, in communication, and in listening. So it is very much not about melting everything into one. It is all of us being in balance with one another and embracing the sense of uniqueness that all people can bring to the table. So, with that being said, that's our North and South Node influences and our way to train. We're going to head back over to the wheel now and look at the next influential piece, which is the green line that's going to Pluto in Capricorn. This is a sextile. So we'll head over to our glyphs, and I'll switch that up. So a sextile is an opportunity, an easier flowing possibility. It brings us a lot of possibility. And what we have in the tarot is the Judgment card, which represents Pluto, and the Devil card, which represents Capricorn. So for some people, this may seem utterly terrifying. Let's look at these again just for the visual component. All of these cards in the upright, because the sextile brings us opportunities that could be rather positive. Right? So we have all of these opportunities of dreaming of bringing our values, aesthetics, and how we want to be seen and accepted in the world, how we can move forward collectively on a new journey that we all feel good and vitalized and positive about, and that we knew needed to come about because we have been letting go of illusions and seeing things in new lights. All right, here we go. Now we're going to look at the Judgment, right? So Judgment in tarot is very much about coming to the point of being assessed, passing judgment on something so you can either redo the lesson or ascend to a new level. Pluto has been acting in the sign of Capricorn for a long time, which is the Devil card. Now, the devil is not something to be afraid of, it's something to embrace and hold awareness about. These are our issues, our chains, our limitations, and we have absolute control in being able to release ourselves from them. So, for example, we could look at the positive of the sextile. Sorry, my mind blanked there. The positive of the sextile is that we're coming to a place of being able to hold space to reflect on how we can release things that no longer serve us, things that have been holding us back, things that are unhealthy. That can be for yourself, but also for the planet as a collective. It's a very fascinating thing to think about when you look at the notion of politics, of nations, of your local area, of your communities, of yourself. There's all different types of things of what serves us, what doesn't. And it gets into lots of debate and discussion too. But what the moon energy is bringing to us is basically, I call this the shedding. It's an opportunity for us to continue to let go of what no longer serves us, continue to shake off or slough off the old skin, to be in the process of the chrysalis of caterpillar to butterfly. That's some literal phoenix shit going on, just so you know. My mind's still blown that caterpillars totally liquefy and turn into a butterfly, like their body's completely gone. But what we do know also about butterflies is that they have to struggle within the cocoon to build up their strength to emerge capable of surviving in this new realm of existence that they have. So part of our process here is to take time to really pass judgment on what no longer serves us. Is that how we treat ourselves, the narratives we tell ourselves? Is that how we are taught about consumer behavior as nations? What does that look like for both you and the collective, so that we can do this whole opportunity, so that we can dream big, so that we can plant seeds into the ethers, into the proverbial soil, so that it can flourish and come to light. We have this wonderful timing for ourselves and collective intention setting. So I really encourage everyone who is doing any work with this full moon to think about setting intention for yourself and collective. So doing a duality of work here, or balancing both things. And the reason being is that if I were to only be like, yes, I'm going to manifest a new job for myself and not work with the collective, we're leaving things still unbalanced. That is part of the challenge, right? The challenge of that square. So for your intention setting, take some time to reflect on your dreams, on what makes you happy, what makes you feel radiant inside. What is a new journey that, despite not knowing how it will go or what you need to do, you're willing to take the steps to do it, and that you feel deep down is the right thing that you're being called to do, that you can see clearly, even if it seems like a big dream, right? But all dreams can have the potential of becoming reality, and it's us, or the, for example, devil card, thinking that, oh, there's no way to do that, so why even bother? That's some devil energy. That's chaining you to an old paradigm. Now is the time for you to definitely shed some skin, be able to go through the transformation of letting go of all of your fears, doubts, etc., and actually just being a dreamer. Really allowing yourself to have the space to dream and embrace that dream, and believe that it can flourish. Like every seed has the possibility of becoming a plant. So does every dream, every intention, every magical spell casting, whatever type of word you want to use for that. So that's basically the energies for this moon. I hope everyone will have some happy spell casting ritual, whatever your practice is. We'll definitely look into next time for more on how the moon is shifting and changing. This has been I.MAGI.NATION. You can check me out at imaginationwitch.com. You know all the stuff to do for the social medias, and I appreciate you if you are doing that. I appreciate you even if you don't do that, you know. You can see on the screen that I'll put up some things leading to the rest of the Lunar Magic series, as well as some tarot in case you're interested in that. And I will see you next time, my lovelies. I hope you have a wonderful intention setting for this new moon. Bye.